What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into the channel. Today we have another deck list video for you guys. Before we get into it, obviously you guys know how it goes. We go over our leader, the base, go over the deck list itself, talk about the cards that you could possibly add, and then we have our live demo, as in our matchup against an AI in Forcetable, right? Going further, after March 8th, we are no longer able to use Tabletop Simulator or Forcetable on this channel, but that doesn't mean we're going to stop doing what we're going to do. It's just that the demos are going to be done live and in person using real cards to show off the game the right way. So nothing's going to change in terms of how these videos are done. It's just that the demo at the end is going to be real in-person matches. Okay, so no more AI stuff. At the end, after March 8th, will be in-person matchups for that. After that, again, I want to thank all of you guys for the support lately. Greatly appreciated. And I wouldn't be able to do all this without any of you guys. And I know I've talked about it in my last two videos. There's going to be a giveaway really celebrating the launch of Star Wars Unlimited. You're going to be getting the Vader and Luke promos from the pre-release. You're going to be getting promo sleeves from Fantasy Flight's deck building Star Wars game. There's a pack of those. And then a box of the first set, Spark of Rebellion. That's going to be done on a live stream. It's going to be randomly selected out of the viewers who are currently watching at the time of the draw. So if you guys are excited for that, you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that sub button because you'll be getting the information for the giveaway. I'll probably be throwing it up in other social media platforms to kind of get the hype of that going. And then maybe in a week or two, I have to decide the date on a live stream when I'm doing some pack openings for myself. I'll also be doing that giveaway for you guys. Just kind of a thank you to you guys for all the support. And yeah, so with that being said, we're gonna be doing Chewbacca today. So I'm not gonna be talking about the leader just yet, but yeah, we have a list of leaders right now that you guys have asked me to do. Our next one up is Chewbacca, and then we have, I believe, Jyn Erso's on the list. We have Iden, so Iden's next. Jyn Erso Vigilance is after that. Then we have a normal Sabine deck because I've done a budget Sabine deck, and I want to go ahead and talk about the budget deck lists going further as well. The budget deck lists. At the moment, the Sabine deck was recorded. It was just rares and not rares. It was uncommons and commons. Going further, it's going to be cards that are less than a certain price point, signifying budget. But at the time being the recording, there was no prices. And as the prices start coming out, obviously there are uncommons and commons that are going to be kind of expensive. So we're going to try to hit a certain number. So a budget deck list isn't going to be coming out for the next couple of weeks, just till the market kind of settles, and then we'll go back into the budget deck list for you guys. But without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about our leader here. Today we're going to be talking about Chewbacca, Walking Carpet. Very cool. It's actually one of my favorite animated cards that we have. He is a leader that allows you to put out a card. You have to pay its cost of 3 or less, and it gets Sentinel for the phase. So it kind of allows you to protect your base from the very get-go. So you can go ahead and put other cards that I will go ahead and explain in the video out of the deck list that would be really good with Sentinel. But again, you use his ability, you pay the cost of the card, it comes out with Sentinel. And that's at any point in the match, as long as it costs 3 or less. So it's a good way to kind of protect your base. And Chewie has an epic action cost of 7. He's not one of the best leaders currently. He's interesting. I like Chewie as a character, of course, and I just think that against certain matchups, it is hard to kind of use him. So the way that we built the deck, and I kind of explain it as we're going through it, but he costs 7 for the epic action. So if you control 7 resources, he then comes out as a leader unit, and he is a Sentinel, and he has Grit. So that's actually a really cool combination because enemies without Saboteur and stuff like that are forced to attack him, right? He has 9 HP, so he can take a lot of hits, and then he has Grit, so each damage that he takes, it adds +1 to his damage. So you can essentially get this card up to a 10-1 at one point and get off a big 10 damage attack. And then using other cards in this deck list that I'll be going over, you can potentially make him even bigger. So if you can get Chewbacca to that state of like crazy strong with Grit and other equipment cards and upgrades, he can get really dangerous. You just have to get to that point. So this is why I kind of built this deck the way that I did. I love Chewbacca as a character. He's very fuzzy. I have a beard. We're essentially the same. But with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about our base that we use. I played Dagobah Swamp. Now you can go ahead and play a different blue base. I'm playing double vigilant Chewbacca, and I'll kind of go over the reason why I think that it's a good way to play this style that I'm trying to play. A lot of people do like Chewbacca Cunning. It's also a very good. I just didn't want to make a deck list that is the same as everything else going out there. Now, I will eventually, again, be going through all the leaders again in different colors. So maybe eventually I will showcase a Chewbacca Cunning deck. But I think that for the time being, this is an interesting way and an interesting take on Chewbacca. So I'm playing double blue Chewbacca. I am playing Dagobah Swamp. You could obviously play Security Complex to be able to give one of your guys a shield once in the match. But it's just, I felt that the HP was more necessary for certain matchups. He has some like hard matchups, and so we're going to play with a little bit extra HP. So the goal of this deck, right, is to make sure that your base stays healthy. So I'm playing a lot of vigilant units and a lot of units with restore, and I'm also using an upgrade that gives restore, and we'll go over that when we get there. But being able to heal up damage on pretty much every single attack that you do in this deck, and being able to give out Sentinel to protect those guys with restore, allows you to kind of survive onslaughts from aggression decks, and you can kind of stabilize pretty well, in my opinion. And again, it's all like you have to get to those points, and it's not like guaranteed. Like, hey, I'm not saying Chewbacca is the best deck in this way. I just think that playing Chewbacca in a way where you're healing your base constantly while you're also putting out Sentinels to protect your units that are healing you and protecting your base as well, so you're not taking as much damage on your base, I think it's a good way to kind of play it. And then you're going to use upgrades to power up your units with grit and stuff like that. So let's go ahead. Let's show you guys the deck list. Here it is. And we play 19 ground units and 10 space units. So let's go ahead and start off talking about the Rebel Pathfinder. The Rebel Pathfinder is just a card that you could potentially use with Chewbacca. It's a 2 cost, so he can come in with Sentinel. Although it is also really good if you want to choose this card as one of the cards that you start powering up with some upgrades too, because it has Saboteur, so we can get around Sentinels and deal damage to the base no matter what. So you can use it as protection, or you can use it as a target for some upgrades and stuff like that. So it kind of fits pretty well in this deck as a protective piece, also as a piece maybe late game to kind of get some cheeky swings into your base while someone's trying to use Sentinel. We have our Cloud City Wingguard. Now this just has Sentinel. It's just another protection piece, but you don't have to use Chewie's ability to get him to that point. We have Yoda here. Yoda has Restore 2, so this is the first card in that category of what I was talking about, having units that have Restore to heal your base. So when he attacks, he heals 2 from your base, which is actually pretty solid. But also, he's a good target for Chewbacca because when he's defeated, you get to choose any number of players, though when you're 1-on-1, you're choosing yourself and only yourself, unless you're kind, but, you know, I don't know who plays games to be kind. That's neither here nor there. But when defeated, you choose any number of players, they each draw a card. So if you need card draw, you go ahead and throw Sentinel on this thing, and if your opponent doesn't have a Saboteur, it will probably get defeated, and then you can go ahead and draw a card. Also, he'll be doing 2 damage to that unit as well in the process, so that's not too bad. Next, we have Baze. Now, while you have the initiative, you can go ahead and grab Sentinel on this thing, so that's really good. And this unit has grit, so it's pretty strong in terms of it has 5 HP as a 4 cost. You can get it up pretty strong, and then again, you can use other upgrades for it to go ahead and get it like stronger. So that's really good. And if you have the initiative, he has Sentinel. You cannot use Chewbacca to give this unit Sentinel. We're pretty much out of the ground units. It's only those 3 that can get Sentinel from Chewbacca, but still, Baze is still a good card. You can argue that you can put 3 of them into the deck, but I opted to go with 2. And if you have the initiative, it gets Sentinel. So it's another protection piece, as well as it's getting hit, it's getting stronger. So one thing hits it, the next thing that hits it takes even more damage. So it's pretty good. Now, I have Regional Sympathizers in this deck. It is a 4 cost with Restore 2. Restore 2 is really actually pretty strong, so I felt like adding this card in for a 4 cost, it was not that bad. Another way to heal my base as we continue to play. So it's just pretty solid. It's just, again, healing the base as we continue going on. Next up, we play Obi-Wan at a 3 of. We could, again, argue that this should be lower, but if you can manage to get this out multiple times in a game, because you want to get to the point where your resources are kind of high. So being able to deal out 2 experience every time that it's defeated is pretty good. It comes in with Sentinel by itself, so it's another protection piece. And again, making other things, maybe some of your things that give restore 2 extra experience, or you can give it to Chewbacca. It's just a way to keep, again, your healing on the board, make your healing units stronger so they're actually a threat at your opponent's base, healing you up, or you can make Chewbacca even more of a threat when he comes out. It's just a good combination with multiple pieces in this deck, in my opinion. So that's why I have it at a 3 of. And then I have Luke Skywalker. He has Restore 3. That's the main reason why I have him. Also, when he comes out, because this deck, you are kind of losing a good amount of units each turn because of Sentinel and stuff like that. The likeliness of when you play this card, him dealing -6/-6, not dealing, but having a card get -6/-6 is quite high, okay? So you can essentially, if you can get something that only has 6 HP left off the board with -6/-6, or if it's even bigger threat, let's say like it's a 7/7, and you go ahead and you drop this, and it becomes a 1/1, and then you just smack over it and kill it. It's just a good card in this deck, and then again, next turn, at that point, you're going ahead and you're swinging Restore 3, just healing up 3 damage each turn or each attack for Luke is just really good value in terms of healing up your base and kind of making it so your opponent is like slowed down, because a lot of decks want to just focus on bases. So if they're allowing you to attack with your units in this deck, you're going to heal up a lot of damage. So then it forces your opponents to kind of focus in on your units, sacrificing their units in the process, and then, you know, it becomes that cycle where you're protecting your units with Sentinel and your base with Sentinel. And when your opponent can attack into the base, they'll try to do that, but then they're leaving your restored units open and ready to go so they can attack and restore, so they have to decide if they want to do it. It's just a big cycle. But if you can get a bunch of restored units on the board and just kind of keep yourself healthy, that's when this deck really thrives. Now let's go ahead and get into our space units. Again, we play 10 of them. We're playing Restored Arc 170. I mean, that shouldn't be a surprise. It is a Sentinel target for Chewbacca, but that's never going to happen because I want to get this thing on the board and I want to keep it on the board because Restored 1, even though it's not like Restored 2 or Restored 3, but it's still 1 heal each attack is still pretty solid. We have Distant Patroller. Now, this is a great target for Chewbacca's ability. You go ahead, you give this Sentinel, and then when this is defeated, it gives another Vigilant unit a shield. That's one other reason why I kind of played double Vigilant. I just made it so we have more targets for this card. So that's really good. Next, we play System Patrolcraft. It's just a Sentinel in space if I really need it. It's just, again, yeah, a Sentinel in space if I really need it. Nothing too crazy there. And then we have Redemption. Okay, Redemption. The reason I have Redemption in this deck list is because, again, it's a Sentinel in space. And then if it gets to the point where at the end in the late game that your base is really getting down low, I'll drop this down for 8 and I'll heal 8 off my base. I don't care if I take that 8 damage and I become a 6/1 as a Sentinel. You're still going to be dealing something 6 damage in space and you're not going to be able to survive. But the thing is, you healed your base for 8. And being able to heal your base for 8 at any given point in the late game is kind of big, especially in this deck. So that's why I chose to play the Redemption. So those are the space and the ground units. I think that you guys see what I'm trying to do here, as I explained as well. Restore all throughout our units just to make sure that we can go ahead and heal up as much as possible. Just to stay healthy and make it so we can last a little bit longer. Let's go ahead and show off the events now. We have Repair. I play 3 of the Repair only because it's a 1 cost, so it's really cheap. And if you really need to stabilize and you don't have any units or you can't attack with your restore units, go ahead, drop Repair. Heal 3 damage from a unit or a base. I'm typically going to be picking a base in this regard, but again, being able to heal up a unit is also still pretty solid. We have 2 Takedown. Deal 5 damage to a unit. Taking out a unit with 5 or less HP could be pretty good. You can damage up a leader and then finish it off with this, or just a big unit and finish it off. It's pretty solid. I play 3 Vigilance, and another reason why I play double blue Chewbacca. You get to choose 2 in any order. You get to discard 6 cards from your opponent's deck. I don't often use that unless a base is full HP or something like that, but it's fun to see what card your opponent has. It's good if you want to use it in the first matchup, you can kind of cycle through your opponent's deck and kind of get to know what they have maybe in their deck. But still, I don't use it too often. The next few are the good ones in my opinion. Heal 5 from a base. I typically use that at all times with this card because again, we're trying to restore, we're trying to heal up our base, we're trying to stay healthy. Going to our next one, you get to defeat a unit with 3 or less remaining HP. So early game is pretty good, or if you can get a sentinel down to less than 3 HP, if it's a big sentinel or a big threatening unit down to less than 3 HP, 3 or less, it's a good way to take it out. And then you get to give shield to a unit as the last one. Typically, I'm always taking the 5 HP thing, and then I'm kind of assessing the board whether or not to take a shield on one of my units or taking out a unit with 3 or less HP. So those are kind of the choices I kind of go with, but still a really good card, especially for 4 cost. It's really, really strong. And then I play 2 Vanquish, just defeat a non-leader unit. This is like late game. If it just hit the wall and your opponent drops like, I don't know, something crazy, like a big ship or anything, like a destroyer or AT-AT, just blow it up with Vanquish. It's kind of what I want to do with that. Now we get into our upgrades here. This is kind of important into the deck. We have Resilient. It gives your grit units more HP. It's why I have it, so Chewie can get even stronger. It's a 1 cost. It's just really good. Also, being able to make something a Sentinel and then dropping this on it makes it so it can take more hits in a single turn. Even though it might die at the end, it's still able to take more hits that turn and protect your base a little bit longer. So I thought Resilient was very good in this deck. Electro Staff. Now you can argue that Electro Staff should be a 3 of because it's actually pretty solid, especially on Chewbacca. You give Chewbacca an Electro Staff, he has Sentinel and things have to attack him and they get -1 attack. And so he's taking less damage, yes, so he's not going to get as strong, but he can take more hits essentially. And he does get the +2/+2 from the Electro Staff itself. So I thought the Electro Staff plus the Chewbacca combination was there, but also this works on Baze. It could work on Obi-Wan, Luke, Skywalker. It's just really solid in a deck that you're going to maybe get attacked a lot. So I can argue, put 3 of this in the deck. I might have to go ahead and drop something down and make this a 3 of because it is actually really good in what this deck is trying to do. And then our final card of the deck, we have Devotion. It gives Restore 2+. It also gives +1/+1 to a unit. So it makes a unit stronger, but then also it can give a unit that doesn't normally have Restore. So I like to give it to Chewbacca and Baze because those things are getting even stronger. And then also when they attack, you're dealing big damage to the opponent's base and you're healing yourself for 2. It's the reason I put it in there. It fits the deck synergy so well at making anything that doesn't have Restore a restored unit. So that's kind of why I felt like it worked really well in this deck. And yeah, so that's the deck list. As you see here, the main focus of this deck is to use your units to attack as much as possible while also healing your base in the process and using your upgrades and your events to also heal your base to keep you healthy on oncoming maybe aggressive decks and stuff like that. So we're going to now go ahead and shift over to the other cards that you can potentially add into the deck. There aren't going to be too many, mainly because we are playing Double Vigilance. So we play a lot of the cards that, you know, you could potentially use. But one of the cards you can use is a couple of mid-cost Vigilant units. We have Counselor Security Force. It's just a 4 cost, but it has 7 HP, so it can live a pretty good amount of hits. So you can use it to kind of clear up your opponent's board. You can go ahead and use Vigilant Honor Guards because when it's undamaged, it comes in with Sentinel, so it's another protective piece. But it was 5 costs, so I felt like I had a little bit too many higher cost cards at that point if I added in, so I kind of chose not to go that route. You could add either Luke lightsaber or the Jedi lightsaber for more damage, stuff like that, but we didn't have many Force units. We just had the 5, the Obi-Wan and the Luke Skywalker cards. So I felt like what we went with was just better, so everything can get the extra bonuses from our upgrades. So that's why I went that route. We could have went Protector. It's a 1 cost and get something Sentinel. It would have been perfect for this deck. I just didn't know what to drop, and I didn't want to like over clutter the deck with like too many events and and upgrade units. But Protector, definitely think about adding that into this deck because you can keep Sentinel on something and it also gives them +1/+1. So that's a card that you should definitely think about when it comes to this deck and Double Vigilant Chewbacca. I really kind of wanted to add Bendu, but the issue is that we play a lot of heroic cards, so it It could work because you could make your upgrades cheaper. You could make your events cheaper. So that could have worked pretty well. But I elected not to go in with Bendu, but I kind of want to add him into the deck because one, I like Bendu, and two, we're playing double Vigilant. So it could easily make it into this deck. It could easily be a sideboard as well. So that's kind of where I'm going to keep it for now. But again, it is a way that you can make your events and your upgrades cheaper because on attack, your next non-heroic or villainy card you play this phase is 2 less. So that's pretty solid. And then just kind of moving on, you could do Rugged Survivor. I think Rugged Survivor works very well in this deck. If I had the card that added Sentinel to cards, I probably would add Rugged Survivor into the deck. But on attack, if I control a leader unit, you may draw a card. It's a good way to draw cards in this because Chewbacca does potentially stay on the board for a very long time with all the upgrades that we play on him and try to make sure that he stays healthy. We could also use Repair. Yes, I'm going to be losing damage on Chewbacca if I use Repair on him, but it keeps him on the board a little bit longer when it gets to that scary stage when he's about to be knocked out, right? But this, if I had the thing that gives Sentinel, it has Grit, so it would get stronger and then able to draw cards if I had Chewbacca on board, which is why I think it's a pretty solid card overall. Moment of Peace is a card that I went back and forth on. It was between Repair and Moment of Peace. Now, Moment of Peace is really good because it protects your unit from a big attack at any given point, and you can go ahead and you can dish out damage, especially because we have a couple of Grit units in this deck. But the ability to heal up a unit or a base at any given point for the same cost, I had to kind of decide what I valued more was the HP or the shields, and I elected in this deck specifically, I care more about the restoring of the HP of my units and my base. So I went with Repair, but Moment of Peace is a very good card that you can throw in there as well. And then going further, there isn't really much other than that because the reason I didn't add many of the Rebel cards like the Fleet Lieutenant, the Wing Leader, and stuff like that, General Dodona, we don't play many Rebel units in the deck. So that's why I kind of went away from that route. So we have only the regional sympathizers as our rebels, and we have the Rebel Pathfinder as well. But Luke, and then that would be it, essentially, other than our space units. So I elected that we were going to stay outside of the Rebel engine for now, but a card that you can add in from the heroic aspect pool is You're My Only Hope. Now, You're My Only Hope for 3, you look at the top card of your deck, you may play it at cost 5 less. If your HP is at 5 or less remaining HP, obviously, you may play it for free instead. Now, this is kind of big late game. If you can go ahead and pop this off, you get Redemption or Obi-Wan or Luke Skywalker off the top of the deck, and it's free. Crazy. But the thing is that we play a lot of cheap units, and so it would have worked really well. It's just, if you don't hit something crazy, then it just kind of feels bad, right? It does also help you thin your deck, which is pretty good, but essentially I felt like it could be a sideboard if I really want to put it in there, but for right now, I kind of just left You're My Only Hope out of the deck list and kind of left it that way. So yeah, that's really the list of cards that you could potentially add into this deck. Now, this deck is in no way a top tier deck, and there's probably a better way to play Chewbacca. I just feel like for myself, it's a fun way to play Chewbacca, being able to be constantly healing yourself using your own units, attacking bases, healing up your own bases, basically negating majority of the damage you're going to be taking in this deck, while also using Chewbacca to get out Sentinels to protect your base, making it so it's kind of hard to get through this like initial onslaught of like things coming out, healing up your base. It makes it so your opponent kind of has to think, you know, I want to attack the base as much as possible, or I have to take out these restore units, then trading units, using their resources to kind of control your board. But still, this deck is no way a top tier deck. It's just a fun way that I think to play Chewbacca in the long run. But with that being said, let's go ahead and showcase the deck. I think we're going to go ahead and showcase it against a Boba Fett command deck because it is very good and it is a hard matchup for the deck. So the Boba Fett command deck is what we're going to be playing up against with our Vigilant Chewbacca deck. So that will be fun, and I'll see you guys over there on Forcetable. Okay, we are here in Forcetable. It's going to be our last Forcetable matchup when it comes to deck building videos, but our opening hand is interesting, and we're going to be going up against, obviously, a command Boba Fett deck, so this is going to be a difficult matchup for a Chewbacca deck, but I think I'm actually going to keep this opening hand, throw this down, and throw this down, because I can then go ahead first turn, put down my Rebel Pathfinder, and then from there, his Crafty Smuggler, which is actually not bad for him. I'm going to take the initiative, and then next turn, I'm going to put down Yoda with Resilience pretty good, but I'm going to drop it for... Trying to think if any of these are worth kind of keeping. Over, because Resilience really solid. I think the best thing we can do here, right? Let's go ahead and... I'm going to keep that. I'm going to get rid of Vanquish. And I understand that might be a bad play, but we can play Vigilance and stuff like that, so we have more options for removal. I kind of like having Resilient on here, and I'm actually going to use Chewbacca's ability to put him into play, because now they're going to trade shields. And so that's pretty good. And I'm going to get a quick hit onto the base here. And get a good hit on there. He waylays my guy, which is interesting because now next time I can do the same exact thing. So let's go ahead and grab initiative. This is where I'm going to be happy that I don't have to play against AIs, because that was a questionable thing that he just did. This is actually really good. I think I'm going to be playing this next turn. And then I can go ahead and give maybe him some more HP, clear out his guy, go from there. So this is also really good for next turn. I think I actually am just going to play this down, because I want to keep my restore units. So let's go ahead and do this. Keep our removal. Keep the thing that makes us a little bit stronger. We're going to probably play down Yoda at some point. I could play down Yoda and make him extra like beefy so he can keep restoring us for 2. But let's... This is kind of hard. I think that our best play here is to maybe clear out any form of damage we're going to take. No, we have restore units. Let's get some damage on the base. If anything, at any point... Well, I could have prevented that. Let's be real here. I could have prevented that easily. That was bad on my part. So let's go ahead. I think we're going to get Yoda onto the board here. He's going to take initiative. That's the main reason why I did that. Now we're going to make Yoda a little bit more beefy. So he has 7 HP. And this is going to allow us to heal off some of that damage that I put on myself, essentially, because I could have easily made sure I didn't take that 5 damage. So we're going to put Yoda down. We have Yoda on the board, and he's beefed up. So we're going to keep it the way it is. Let's go ahead and... He's going to bring out Boba Fett. That's kind of annoying. So what we are going to do is, I think, attack into Boba Fett. Then we can use takedown to take out Boba Fett, get rid of him, because he's kind of annoying. Which I think is going to be our play. Let's do it. Let's do that 2 damage. We're going to lose our Rebel Pathfinder. That's fine. That's not fine. But he didn't get to attack. So we got the takedown. This thing's going to repeatedly do 5 damage to our base. Again, this was all preventable. But we're going to now grab initiative. We're going to put down one of our Sentinels this turn. I want to keep this because it's another way to get restore. But let's put down a Sentinel so Crafty Smuggler can stop sneak attack. It does end up getting blasted next turn, but it's all right. I mean, if he wants to attack our... Okay, so we get rid of that unit over there. He's going to be able to get out 2 damage on us. But next turn, we're going to start healing up some good damage. And then you guys get to see how the deck kind of functions and what we want to really do. So we have the initiative. He loses his unit. Now we're in a really good spot. We can go ahead and give something else restore. I actually kind of want to keep this out there. I don't know if we really need resilient, because I'm going to go ahead and give restore. I should have probably kept resilient because I'm going to get Chewbacca out here. But let's go ahead and just start attacking into the base, heal up our HP. So we're going to have restore 2 here. We go up. If Fortuna, play an event from your hand, cost 1 less, right? That's nothing we have to really worry about. Let's heal another HP on the base. Crafty Smuggler. We're going to go ahead. They both come in shielded, but we have a Sentinel over here. And actually, we are also going to now bring out Chewbacca. We are also going to be giving Chewbacca Devotion. So now he is a restore unit, which is what we were talking about, how he can be pretty good. Probably should have saved the other card, but I'm going to go ahead and attack into the base. just for 3. But again, we're healing our base for 2. And look, we're right back to 23 HP, so that's pretty good. And now we're going to get out another restore unit. And this is the point where we're just kind of like, hey, try to get over what we are building here, right? We have 7 resources. We can play both these cards. Actually, I kind of want to play these 2 cards, but I don't really need to put down another resource. The only time I'm going to need to put down a resource is if I end up getting... Ooh, okay, so he did choose to use Rook and get rid of my guy. Interesting. He takes the damage, then he gets a shield, which is pretty cool. That's what I kind of like about Rook. But let's go ahead and just start healing up our base a little bit. Bam. Again, we have a Sentinel. So Chewbacca's just going to get stronger here. We essentially win here. Because we attack with Yoda. We're healing up for 2. He's going to attack with us again. We're going to get 2 more damage. Let's attack with the Trahuzi. Oh, actually, we had enough there. So he takes the initiative. We swing with Chewbacca. And we are good to go. Now, against a normal person, things would have been played out differently, which is why I'm excited that all of our demo matches are going to be played against human live opponents. And so, again, that's going to be the only change on the content coming up. But you saw what this deck really wanted to do. It really wants to kind of sit in front of your opponent and heal up, restore units, get your base. We're back up to max HP, so essentially we didn't take much damage, quote unquote, but we did. We went down below 20, but we just threw all the restore cards, all the restore units, and then being able to give devotion to Chewbacca, we were able to get our base up and heal up. Do I think this deck is going to be like crazy and like you can win against anything? No, but I think it's an extremely fun deck, and you can really do well in games against aggression decks if you play very well. And then you use the restore, because like aggression decks want to get in on your base and kill things as quickly as possible. But if you kind of settle in here and get your sentinels up and then your other cards to restore your base, you kind of combat their damage with healing your damage while also dealing out your own damage. So that's why I think this deck is a lot of fun, because aggression decks might struggle against it if you play it right and you get your draws that you need to get. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching. Again, thank you so much for all the support lately. I'm greatly appreciative of all you guys. I wouldn't be able to do what I do without you guys, and I'm greatly appreciated. I'm also going to be doing that giveaway, so make sure you pay attention to the community tab, and all the information will be up hopefully within the week. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. And again, if you are new here, hit that sub button, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.